India might have sealed a very easy ODI series win against Zimbabwe, but the major focus as of now still very much remains on the Asia Cup, and in that regard, current skipper Rohit Sharma has actually made some pretty interesting comments to the whole broadcasters, Star Sports India's broadcasters, and where in a particular TV show he's spoken a lot about the kind of team that he wants to be building, and specifically the ways that he would choose to deal with players who are under some form of pressure, whether it be due to form or due to being new to the setup or trying to re-establish themselves, whatever it may be. He's actually said quite a few interesting things, and as such we are going to actually be spending some time analyzing what exactly it is that he said, what exactly it would mean, and what exactly it shows us about the long-term blueprint when it comes to India's plans for building a new team. So first off, let's talk about what it is that he says on players who are going through rough patches, and a lot of this can be interpreted for many people would doubt to say that he's trying to talk about Kohli. First off, let's be very clear, he's kept it very generic and he's not actually mentioned any players. So he's spoken generally about players, and he says that when certain players, when they are going through tough times, what we as a team management are trying to do is that we're trying to give them a clear understanding of what exactly will be happening. We'll try to make them understand what we expect from that particular player and what his role in the team will be. Now obviously I will just say that it's a pretty good way of going about trying to get a player out of form, because again, one of the key things when it comes to an international cricket team is that you will be only having 11 spots, and each of those players has to be playing a certain role and doing it in a certain way. So if a player is struggling for form, more often than not you will see talk about this is not his natural role. So with what Rohit is trying to kind of implement in this Indian team right now is that they'll be very, very clear as to what exactly the role is that they expect a certain player to play. So if they're struggling, they'll say, look, you don't need to worry about doing this. This here is the role that we expect from you, and that's what you should be aiming for. So in a way, sometimes we've always spoken about this, players who are going through certain rough patches, they tend to be thinking too much, and what this does is it basically breaks things down, it simplifies things for the player and makes it easier for them to actually deal with the rough patch of form that they might be going through. Now this of course isn't the only thing that he's spoken about. He's also talked about how he personally would deal with these certain circumstances, and how it is that he would try and explain to a player in terms of if he's going through a rough patch of form, or what exactly you're trying to understand what exactly it is that they need. So of course he said that I want to quickly adapt to the individuals in the team and then understand what it is that they need from me and us, and what are their strong points, what their weaknesses may be, and he'll also try, and by the way this is an interesting thing where he says that we'll try and give them feedback and work with them. So obviously oftentimes what can happen, you'll see with players is that one person will be giving them a certain kind of advice and they'll just follow it blindly. What this team setup is trying to do at this point is to try and make it more of a situation where there's a to and fro, there's a proper conversation, there's constructive feedback that flows from both sides, and that is definitely very, very important, because if you want a player to improve, or if you note for a fact that if say Rohit knows a player is struggling in a certain way, then he will give his feedback, and that player might say, your feedback is great, but this is exactly what I'm going through, and so it just makes it easier to solve the problem when where both parties are coming from. So it's not just a case of Rohit saying to player A that you have to do this and this will help you out. He has to hear from the player also that this is exactly what I feel I'm going through, and so then they can come together and come to a consensus and thus make it easier to solve these problems in hand. Now of course this isn't the only thing, because he's also talked about players and actually trying to ease the burden of expectation and ensure that they don't take too much pressure. Now of course all of you would remember that Rishabh Pant recently spoke out and said that the Indian team are kind of nervous about the World Cup which is upcoming. It would be understandable why. I mean, India haven't really had much success in recent times when it comes to ICC tournaments, and in fact the last World Cup, T20 World Cup campaign, it was a classic example of what not to do and how not to handle a big cricket tournament, because they ended up announcing a very left of field team. They panicked when they lost their first match. There were plenty of changes made, and all in all, it wasn't a very settled feeling, and you did get the feeling that there was a fair bit of chaos. Now, the nature of the beast in international cricket is that there will be some degree of chaos. That's just how international sport and sport at the elite level works. Now, obviously, that is why Rohit has said here that, he's saying that we want to try and create an environment for the guys to come out in this team and actually have fun and enjoy each other's company. It's important not to allow the pressure to creep in too much. Now, he did go on to further say that, when you're facing a ball, or when you're bowling a ball, or when you're in the field, there will be some degree of pressure anyway. That's just the nature of the beast. But the real concern is to ensure that there's not so much pressure that the player feels overwhelmed, overburdened. He wants a team that is able to express themselves. He wants a team that will go out there and have fun and enjoy each other's company. And I think that is very important. I mean, if you look at the best of cricket teams, there always exists three things which are very obvious. One, they're all quality players who know exactly what it is that they have to do, and they share a sense of camaraderie, knowing that okay, this is my team, or this is our team, and this is exactly how it is that we're going to go about with things. Clearly, that is exactly what Rohit is trying to instill, because he wants to try and take the pressure off from the players rather than putting that pressure back on them, saying, yeah, you know what, guys, it's a big deal that we're playing an international tournament and we have to win. His main focus right now is, look, even if we have to win, let's do it in a way that we have some fun, that we take the pressure off ourselves, and that we enjoy the game first and foremost. Obviously, that's also an interesting, way of going about with things, and one could argue that it's not a novel approach, in the sense that obviously this sort of methodology, when it comes to not taking too much pressure, going out and expressing yourself, it's a tale as old as time, especially in international cricket. You often hear from the best teams that they are the best teams because they don't really take pressure, because they want to go out there, play their natural game and play it well, and they do all of that without really taking too much pressure or too much burden on themselves. So that is the key part. Now, having watched Rohit Sharma's Indian cricket team till this point, what do you guys think? Do you think that he's succeeded so far in creating a team that doesn't play with too much pressure, or do you think that that particular aspect of the team is still very much a work in progress? Do let us know in the comments below, and thank you all so much for joining us. If you enjoy what it is that we do, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, drop us a comment as I mentioned before, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so that you know when it is we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and also don't forget to download the AajTak app, where you will get breaking news updates such as what it is that Rohit Sharma is saying at any given point of time to whichever broadcaster or publication it may be. As always, I've been Shane, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Bye bye for now.